Alrighty, it is Friday, March 15th. Let's jump into a quick session recap here. So we came into the session wanting to see how price was going to respond versus that prior day low on ES. Anytime we have some type of prior day reference point that we can lean on early in the session, that's going to be the go-to. So in this case, wanted to see again if selling was going to be continuing through that prior day low. We do initially see a bit of a bounce there. No follow through on ES. ES resolving lower into what was our 5180 level of interest. Also happens to be 10 a.m. reversal time. You can see that 5-minute hammer developing there, marking the low for the morning. So selling into 10 a.m., you get the 10 a.m. reversal time. Phenomenal longs can be usually established around that time if you do have some selling into a big time level of interest. Now remember, when we zoom out, price is trading down into intermediate term support. So this 5180 is definitely a big level, as well as this 5165. So 10 a.m. RT marks the morning low. Price trades up into session highs, but cannot show acceptance above that 5,200 right through there. That pretty much marks the high for the session. We get a rotation lower down into, again, that near term, intermediate term support zone. So ES continuing to hold the primary structure at play, which is a range. This is a sideways range. The main watch into Monday is essentially going to be how price responds versus this 5165. This is the volume point of control for this intermediate term range. So we're looking at pretty much a sideways range for a few weeks here. If you take a look at the weekly chart, what you're going to see is an inside week. So finally, price showing a bit of exhaustion, right? Tape has definitely been a little bit heavier than what we've seen in weeks prior. I mean, if you take a look at the magnitude of this move, this is a 23% move higher in 19 weeks, which for the index is quite uncommon, right? So not all that surprising to start to see some exhaustion here. If we take a look at, let's see where we're at as far as the fib extension. So yeah, hitting some of those upside fib extension targets on the weekly time frame chart. I'll break more of this down in the weekly kickoff, the newsletter this Sunday. But as far as the action this week, right? Range bound. Look at the 3 consecutive weeks now just trading in the same location. And so the main watch again into Monday is going to be how price responds versus this range low. This week's low is going to be particularly important. We want to be keeping an eye on this week's low, which is 51.57. So that'll definitely be an important area of interest. That's a little bit lower than where we're at today. But that's definitely going to be a key area. Keep in mind, we do have FOMC next week as well, so it could be a slower Monday, Tuesday leading into that actual rate announcement. We'll see what Powell has to say. For now, this continues to be a range, so we'll see if buyers are going to continue to step in here or if it's finally time for some type of pullback or some type of correction. As far as NQ, a little bit different. NQ may be giving some early clues here. You can see the primary structure at play is quite similar. The difference is that NQ is actually breaking down, breaking this near-term support zone. So remember, what we had identified earlier in the week was the fact that ES was retesting the all-time highs on Wednesday, Thursday. NQ was not. NQ was nowhere near that prior all-time high, kind of giving us some clues. And so the structure that started to develop here on NQ, at least in the near term, the past few sessions, was one that showed a series of lower highs. Now, mind you, again, intermediate term, price remained within the range through here, but near term was starting to give some additional clues. So the most interesting thing here is that if we look at the regular trading hours chart, there is going to be a big unfilled gap through here. Now, price initially did dip down into this gap. You see an attempt to recover, a bit of a Wyckoff spring attempted to develop there, but it didn't show any follow through. We didn't have a move up through that 18,180 level of interest. And so what we have now is a test of the 18K level that just bounced into what was prior support, now acting as resistance. Right, so bears definitely showing more control of NQ here. Ultimately, what we want to see is how price is going to continue to trade versus this 18,100 level as the prior area of support, big time key support. Now, again, acting as that resistance. And so we'll see how this develops into Monday. That's going to be the main level of interest on Monday. Let's take a look at the weekly chart here on NQ. There it is. And so you could see price actually breaching the prior 2 weeks low. So you got kind of lows right through here. This is going to be support, that support zone that we talked about within the intermediate term range, that 18,100 area from the prior 2 weeks. Again, these are weekly candles. Now this week starting to resolve a bit lower. So this will definitely be something to continue to monitor. Check the volume for this week as well. So it's getting a little bit interesting here. Might be due for a little bit of a deeper pullback, right? 21 MA is now gone on NQ, coming into that 50 MA. As far as daily time frame structure, structural importance in these areas right through here. So that's kind of a bigger picture overview. Again, keep an eye on the weekly kickoff. I'll be breaking that down on ES. What we want to keep an eye on for now on NQ is whether price continues to show acceptance below this prior range, right? I had mentioned today and yesterday that this was starting to coil, right? We were seeing that coiling action through here. Did not expect it to resolve lower today, but we do see some clues, some early clues that sellers are really gaining the upper hand here. So we'll see how that continues to develop. As far as individual names, list remains quite dry. It will continue to stay dry until we are back within earnings season. What I do have on the list is AMD. AMD showing signs of relative strength today, comes back, retests that prior breakout point, holding as support now. So we'll see if this wants to show some type of continuation move higher. Other than that, that was the only individual name in the scans. Primarily going to be looking at index plays next week. ES 5180 and NQ 18100. Hope everyone had a good day, good week. Hope no one got burned today on quad witching. Definitely the type of day you want to be doing less. If you have questions about anything, feel free to send me a DM this weekend in the Traders Think Tank. Otherwise, I'll see you Monday for the pre-market prep live stream. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. Later.